Well, we got some tips and tricks on Dura-Coat. I'm not going to give a demo because I think I did demos on other videos, but I'm going to tell you from experience and also some automotive experience. This is also coming from Rocky the Confederate Cat. He's going to tell you a few things. First off, yeah, obviously you want the part chemically clean, right? Right, Rocky? If you're going to do a coating, you want the part chemically clean. You want to soak it in mineral spirits, fine. Blow it off with air. Now, I got a cheap $20 sandblaster, right? Now, you don't really want to sandblast the hell out of your parts, but just enough to etch them. And where I got that from, actually, is in automotive. Like, if you're going to paint a chrome bumper, a chrome bumper that didn't flake already, the chrome didn't flake on it already. If that's the case, then you have to have the bumper stripped. If you take a DA sander, a dual action sander, and you scratch up the bumper, or you scratch it up with sandpaper, and then you go to paint it, even if it's epoxy, it won't stick on there forever. But if you bead blast it or lightly sandblast it, no problem. The paint sticks on there way better. So what I did was, when I clean off the parts with mineral spirits, I blow them off with air, and then I also I take the sandblaster, and I don't blast the hell out of them. It's just aluminum. Just kind of etch them, so you got a little bit of a rough surface. Right, Rocky? So then, when after that, then I use starting fluid. Starting fluid actually really chemically cleans the hell out of stuff. I know it supposedly has some upper lubricant in it, but I get the Wally World brand, the Super Tech brand. It doesn't have much upper lubricant in it. Obviously, not enough to give you any kind of fish eyes. And I just clean it off, the rest of it, the sandblasting material, with that after I blow it all off, and then I blow it off with air again. Now, this can is a two-part epoxy. It's got a little button on the bottom, and the thing is, you got to pop the button off with this cap. There's a special cap that you put on there. I think I threw it away, the red cap that goes on the bottom of the button, and you slam the can on the bottom. It's pretty much a no-brainer because, like, a lot of people have used this. It's a two-part epoxy, and they put that cap on the bottom, and you slam the can down, then you shake up the two parts. Now, this stuff has been formulated to last about 3 weeks, where you could spray it, and it's got an extra nozzle in it. You can see that nozzle that was laying, I have it in the cap there. But if you put this in a refrigerator, it'll last for months, even after it's been catalyzed. I tested this out, this theory, on a can of the matte black. This is, I think it's just called Magpul Dark Earth or something. Looks kind of green. Now, I've heard mixed reviews on this paint. Some people say it scratches, some people say it doesn't. Here's the whole thing. If it scratches, it's because, first off, either you didn't prep it right, but normally what the thing is, I know they tell you 24 hours, it's pretty dry, you can work with it, 2 or 3 weeks to cure, but the longer it's on here, if it's on here a few months, it gets a lot harder. Then it's a lot more difficult to scratch the paint. So that's one of the things. You know, sometimes maybe a week or 2 isn't enough. Maybe a few weeks isn't enough. Maybe it's all how you shook the can up, or maybe it wasn't, the catalyst didn't get around enough very good, and maybe it's going to take a few months before it gets to the full hardness. But then once you get to the full hardness, it's cool, you know. Now, the other thing is, you could touch up with this stuff, and that's because I found out I scratched some stuff, and I found out how to make this a little bit bigger in here to get the I thought I had this all straightened out, and I actually had to mill this out a little more to make the upper fit in here. So I had to touch it up with some paint, and this is what I did. I just used the Q-tip. It was simple, and I always do this stuff. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, you know, it's not like, you know, what I do is I take the can, take it out of the refrigerator. You know, it's been in there, say, a week or something. Shake the hell out of it again, and then spray some of this into a little cup. Usually a cap of one old spray can works great. Then I take the, you know, Q-tip, and you touch it up. And actually, this stuff is so thin and it runs so easily, like it flows out so easily, that when you're touching it up with a Q-tip, you can't tell where you touched up, especially since it's like a matte finish. So it's great stuff. Pretty expensive for, you know, one can, $35, but it does cover a lot. I'm probably going to paint a toolbox with it, but again, I'm going to etch it first with the sandblaster, chemically clean it, and just go over it. And But it doesn't chip if it's been on there a long time and you prep it. I think a lot of people do prep this stuff right, but also want to re-emphasize that stuff about, well, it really should be like bead blasting, but I don't have a bead blaster. I just use beat sand, the stuff you get in Lowe's. Play sand, but it's a light blasting, just enough to take the sheen off the metal. That's enough where the paint grips. If you sand it, it doesn't work the same. I swear to God, bead blasting and sanding with certain kinds of metal, it doesn't stick as well. I know that was maybe it's not a hidden trick now that I'm telling you this, but if you have a chrome bumper and say you want to make it do a body color and the chrome bumper is still intact, the chrome is still fine, don't sand it, don't go over it with a DA, you got to bead blast it. Then your paint will stick. I don't know what it is, paint seems to stick better with bead blasting on, maybe not steel would make too much of a difference, but dissimilar types of metal like aluminum and chrome. So I did a light sandblasting, a very light sandblasting, and I think that, and when I chemically cleaned it again, once it's been on here several months, you might want to say not 2 or 3 weeks. I know it says 2 or 3 weeks for it to cure. Maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks for it to cure out in the sun. And yes, you could probably bake the part, but you can't bake it with the freaking plastic on there. So I wouldn't even leave it out in the sun. Just give it some time before you handle the parts. Give it a few months, and they're fine. So, and what's cool about this is you can always, aluminum don't rust. I'm not that fussy with this garbage anyway. So I mean, I'm not like one of these people that go around and I got everything matched. But GQ, actually, it's more important that something functions. Right, Rocky? Right? So anyway, that's just a quick and dirty on that. Again, you want to actually soak the part for hours in like mineral spirits, because any oils in there could be really embedded in the metal, right? You really want to soak those parts. I mean, yeah, if you really was going to use an electronic cleaner and all that garbage, that might even be better, but just soak the hell out of the parts, blow them off with air, then do the light bead blasting preferably, but I did sandblasting with regular play sand, but real light, just enough to freaking take the sheen off the metal. Cleaned it off with Wally World Super Tech starting fluid. I know it has upper lubricant in it, but I swear it's got so little. I've never had a fisheye. I've been using that crap for years. Paint I freaking used to chemically clean surfaces with and paint it. It lasted 10 years later. No chipping, no cracking, no nothing. So I'm sure it's going to work with that. That chemically cleaned it again. Several light coats with that stuff. And then you hang it up to air dry for 24 hours. Then you could touch it. And if you get a scratch, just spray some of this in a cap and then use a Q-tip. And the Q-tip works very well. You'll never see the scratch in a million years because this paint is so thin it flows out. And then after you're done with this can, it's already been catalyzed and all that. They say it could last up to 3 weeks. Put it in your refrigerator, and it'll probably last you 3 months. That's another hot tip because you don't use the whole can up. It's $35 a can. I mean, I could still use it for little tiny parts here and there. So that's some interesting tips, and Rocky the cat approves of this message, man. I like this guy. He's like a little doggy, man. That's what he is. Anyway, over now.